So I wanted to buy a bunch of silver, and I did. I bought 25 kilos worth, and you can see here half of that, 12 kilos. It was an interesting experience. I met a random stranger off the internet to buy them, and the bank wouldn't let me pay. That was a little bit interesting, let me tell you. We did push it through in the end, so as frustrating as it was, I ended up with a very large pile of shiny things. And this is how. Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and a very warm welcome to you all joining me for another Precious Metal Ramble. Also, a fun stacking video, as I have 12 beautiful 1 kilo bars that we're going to stack and play with. And I also want to tell you the story about how I bought these bars. It wasn't as easy as I might have liked, as my bank had some things to say about it when I actually tried to pay the person that I bought them from. Also want to share that I bought them from somebody I met. I went and met somebody and bought 25 kilos. This is in fact only half of what I bought. And I want to share my experiences of that. Perhaps you can learn something from it if you ever were in a situation where you wanted to buy a large pile of silver. And also, while we're at it, I'm going to share my experiences of the impracticalities of trying to carry 25 kilos of silver. It ain't easy, and don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise. So, lots to get through and talk about in this video. It'd be great to hear your thoughts and opinions down below. Have you ever done something like this? Have you ever gone and bought 25 kilos from a stranger off the internet? There are certainly some pitfalls in doing such a thing, but there are some good practices that we can all employ to do it. And I know a lot of you in the comment section will probably have a lot to say about it. So let me know what you think down below. And if you haven't subscribed, then do take a moment to hit that subscribe button, as it would be great to continue to grow our channel towards our next milestone, 70,000 and above. So, 25 kilos of silver. For those that have not got a quick bit of maths in them, that's close to £20,000 worth. It's no small sum of money, there is no doubting that. And for those of you wondering, before you run to the comment section saying I'm some kind of crazy millionaire, this is part of the Backyard Bullion business. And I'm afraid that a lot of you might be looking at these kilo bars going, well, they're rather pretty, but I'm afraid ultimately they're all going to get chopped up and melted down and made into some of my poured silver. And I don't have any problems with doing that because it's just business. That is how it is. But of course, I need a fair amount of silver every year to be able to create the products that we create. And so I need to buy a large amount. And often, of course, when you buy in bulk, you get better prices. And that's part of business. So I was on the market for some silver, and I'd seen a gentleman on the silver forum, a well-established seller on the silver forum, put up a sales ad for some silver bars. And I got in touch and said, I'm on the market for up to 25. Can you do that? And he said, yes. So we decided that because he was an established member that's been around for a long time, I had no problem sending him a bit of a deposit. But at the same time, I also didn't want to send £20,000 to a stranger on the internet. So I said, of course, shipping 25 kilos worth of silver is not going to be particularly cheap. Is there a way that we could perhaps meet and I can pick it up? And he agreed. And then I also said as well that it would be good, if possible, that I could pay a little bit of a deposit and then pick up everything else on the day that we meet and pay you on the day that we meet. That's, I think, the safest thing. So that was something that I think is really important to just say. Like, reputation is key. There is no doubting it. Reputation is key. But unfortunately, there are scams that can be done whereby people will build up a reputation and then just suddenly disappear with all of your money. And it might be very good and you might have all of these wonderful experiences to start with, but then it just goes wrong. And unfortunately, that does happen. So even when you're dealing with people that you've got really good strength of, I think this is all above board and legit, just be careful. So that's my first piece of advice. And the other good thing that the other gentleman suggested was that we meet in a bank rather than meeting just in a car park somewhere. And I thought, do you know what? Actually, yeah, that's really quite a clever idea. Let's meet somewhere that's nice and secure. And I know in the US, for example, that there are facilities that you can get in touch with your local police force and you can meet in various different places that are secure for those very kind of things. So if we're in the UK, I haven't really going to a police station to do this kind of thing doesn't strike me as that particularly practical. But going to a bank, yeah, good idea. I like that. Really nice. So we decided that we would meet, and I would head on into the area that I was going to meet him in. Not being too specific, of course, but I went there and we met. And so I'd paid the deposit beforehand, and then, I'd seen, of course, that he'd got all the silver ready, and we then met. And the idea was then to pay him on the day. So I've got my business bank account, and I've made transactions bigger than this to various different suppliers across my lifetime. So I didn't really think too much of it when I set up the payment and did all of the, stuff through the mobile banking and through all of the things that hoops you go through and everything. And I sent the money, fantastic. And the seller took out his phone, checked his bank account, nothing there. And immediately, about 30 seconds later, I got a text message on my phone going, "We think that something's a bit fishy." And so the bank said no, which is a bit annoying. Well, the bank didn't really say no. They just sort of they said in the text, "Your payment has been held and we need more information." So that's like a bit annoying, especially when you've met in person. It's not something I'd thought about. Meeting in person, you've got this awkward situation now where I've got 20 grand's worth of silver, or he's got 20 grand's worth of silver that's sitting there, and I want to take it away, and we also don't want to draw too much attention to ourselves, just sat in a bank with a giant, very heavy duffel bag of silver bars, and then me trying to sort out all of this, quite frankly, bollocks on the phone with the bank. So yeah, that was interesting. And the hilarious thing was, I'm very conscious of scams. I am very conscious of scams. It's very important to be conscious of scams. And so when I got a sort of automated robocall from my bank, which I'm sure was, I'm like 99% sure was genuine, but you just never know. So whilst I didn't answer that one, and then I just rang up the fraud team on my own bank to get them to actually sort this out. It took a long time to get through, which was a bit annoying. So with hindsight, maybe I should have just taken that original call, but I think being safe is better than being sorry. So anyway, I was on the phone with them for quite a while trying to get through to somebody, and in the intermediary time, because we're on a big high street, I actually popped over to the bank that I bank with and went in there and said, "Can you actually just sort this out here and now?" And unfortunately they couldn't, which is really stupid and annoying. I don't understand how they can not do that. But I suppose in a way it has to be done through this sort of extra layer of protection through the fraud team. Anyway, eventually I get through to somebody and I'm given the nth degree. So bear in mind, this is a business account. My business is called Backyard Bullion, right? Bullion is in the word of the business. And so they couldn't really grasp that I was buying silver to use in my business. And so that was the thing that was a little bit annoying and frustrating to start with. I then was trying to just sort of say, with all due respect, I've given you all the information you need. I'm not being scammed. I'd like to just push this payment through and make it done. I've got the goods right here in front of me and I want to take them back home. But then really interestingly, the bank was asking me about how do I know that the silver is genuine silver and that I'm not being scammed and it's all fake. And I have precious metal testing equipment. I'm not naive about this, but I suppose the bank doesn't know that I'm not naive about it. But it was an extra layer that they were going through to make sure that I wasn't being scammed. Then they were asking me whether I knew the retailer, the seller. I said, well, I'm literally sitting here with him right now. I can even put him on the phone if you want to. I didn't want anything to do with that. But, the hilarity in my mind anyway of being sort of really given the nth degree in the inquisition about what I'm doing and what I'm buying and how I'm buying it and from whom I'm buying it and whether or not it's genuine or not when I'm literally here in front of it, I thought was quite funny. And it's kind of a state of the banking system right now that the banks are so scared of having to pay out. So for those that don't necessarily know, here in the United Kingdom, there's been a law change by which if you are scammed by somebody, that the banks have to pay out to you. Now, in my opinion, that's both good and bad. And it's good that we're protected from genuine scams, but it's also bad because people now just don't take that extra layer of precaution. They don't care anymore. They're like, well, if I get scammed, so what? I'll get my money back, won't I? I don't like that, though. I think, you have to be safe and careful in this world. You have to be, and for me, the practicalities now, if we move on to the second part of this video, the practicalities of having 25 kilos of silver is not to be underestimated. Now, unfortunately for me, my wheelie suitcase broke the very day that I was going to be taking it up there. The handle just broke, so I was lifting it empty as well. Crazy. So I had to basically carry it all in a duffel bag. And if you've ever tried to carry 25 kilos of weight in a duffel bag, that ain't easy. And the compounding factor of silver is because it's so dense, that weight is not distributed evenly across a particular space. So it makes it even more difficult. So from my perspective, as a practical person, having 25 kilos of silver bars, if you ever need to bug out with it, there is no chance you're doing that in a hurry. You know, I was walking for a fair distance with this duffel bag of silver, and it was not easy. And I had to have a little breather at one point because it was hard work. And there's going to be some people who go, "Backyard Bullion, do you even lift, bro?" The answer is, I'm pretty strong. I can do some lifting if I want to. But walking or moving at half decent pace with 25 kilos of silver in a duffel bag around your shoulders, that ain't easy. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. It is not. And the practicalities of that is not to be underestimated. 20 grand. I mean, what you see on the table here is 10 grand, 12 kilo bars. And that in itself is heavy. Me getting them out of storage to bring them here to showcase on this video was not easy. And I have to go back to the secure storage lockup with these as well. So it is impractical. It is not very easy to move around with big lumpy bits of silver. And it's something that you should maybe think about if you are looking to get into silver. And there's something really special about kilo silver bars. I've got in mind to do a video of my collection of 1 kilo silver bars, as I have a bunch that I've kept. And as I said, I will be unfortunately chopping up all of these bars. I've kept a metal ore in my sort of collection, inverted commas. I will be keeping one of the SMP bullions, as I don't have one of those in my collection. There are these ones here, which are actually nice hallmarked ones. I will probably put this one into the collection because I don't have ones with the hallmarks on. Those are nice. As you can see, there are others without the hallmarks. But I'll do a video at some point of my kilo bar collection. I quite like them. There is something infinitely special about a just chunky bar of silver. But 1 or 2, yeah, you're happy with that. The impracticalities of owning a boatload, though, are not to be underestimated. So anyway, the bank wasn't too keen on me spending £20,000 on silver, but we pushed it through. So whilst the impracticalities and infuriation of the invasiveness of the questioning was annoying, I still do now have the silver at least, which is good. Interestingly as well, part of that whole experience was that I got some cash out from the bank. Nothing too big, a few £1,000s. And I was very impressed that I went to my bank and asked for that money and they just gave it to me without any questions. So I think the hilarity of me wanting to securely transfer £20,000 for some silver bars compared with just me going to a bank and trying to take a few £1,000s out in cash and having no problem whatsoever. It's very interesting. It's a bit funny. But anyway, it is what it is. There's my opinions on the UK banking system, which I'm sure a few different content creators out there will be very interested to see and hear. But yes, also stay safe when you're buying gold and silver from strangers on the internet. There are hopefully some interesting insights for you to glean from this video. And if you've enjoyed it, then don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. And if you're watching to what are we now, like the 14th minute of the video, then you need to subscribe. Come on, subscribe. You obviously enjoy my content. Thank you to all of the Backyard Bullion Ramblers. I really do appreciate your support of the channel. And to the Cool Kids Club members, you guys are super extra special cool. We'll see you on the next one. As always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.